Welcome to the Pro Design Builder Podcast, the show where professionals and entrepreneurs share their stories, strategies, and secrets to building a thriving business and a successful life. I'm Sam, your host, as we dive deep into the world of life experiences and entrepreneurship. Before we get started, just like to thank our sponsors, the Pro Design Builder, which is a coaching and consulting firm for real estate investors who want to build spec home and multifamily units. The Pro Design Builder, it's not just about building a business, it's about building a vision and a life by design. As you know, foster care is a mission that's near and dear to my heart. I've fostered a number of kids, I've adopted two kids, and I'm currently fostering now. If you ever feel led to give to our foster care initiative, there'll be a link in the description. Our initiative supports other foster and adoptive families with beds, meals, date nights. And if there's a way that you could support foster care without actually taking a kid into your home, this is something that will allow that to happen. So, without further ado, just want to introduce our guest today. Sam White is a real estate enthusiast focusing on building relationships. He graduated from the University of San Diego with a master's in commercial real estate. So I just wanted to introduce him today. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, man. So
Good.
I can't wait for this particular episode. Just because it's all of it is in our wheelhouse, right? Whether
Oh,
it's
yeah.
real estate, commercial real estate development, and construction, it checks off the box, and we can't forget our boy Jesus.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah. Jesus,
ex-
foster
ex-
care,
exactly,
adoption. Like it
foster
just
care,
keeps
all,
going.
all
Yeah.
of it, all of it, all of it. So we're going to be going across quite a wide spectrum of different topics. So if you don't mind, just sharing a little bit about who you are, where you're from, where you currently live.
Yeah. So Sam, and I also have baby Sam down here. So he's right out. If you guys hear him in the background, it is what it is. He's ready to talk. But Sam White, I grew up in Arizona and then moved to Denver for undergrad. Lived in San Diego for 10 years. That's kind of where I got my first touches of real estate. Did some residential redevelopment, and then went on to do a master's program in commercial real estate. So that was a lot of learning, a lot of changes as pre-med undergrad. So having to kind of switch my brain entirely to business has been really cool. And then right now, currently living in Oklahoma City for another year. My wife is an ER resident physician, so kind of understanding and dialing into what real estate looks like here, as well as Colorado, Arizona, and San Diego over the last 4 years. So been in quite a few markets, which is cool.
Yeah, like I was saying, we have quite a few things in common, and one of them that I actually don't share, which is actually how I got into real estate,
Hmm.
was my wife had gotten into med school, and she was supposed to go to med school in the islands. And right before she was supposed to go, she wrote me this letter, and she said, "Sam, I don't want to go. I don't foresee us having the family life how we envisioned. Foster care has always been a thing for me and always been important for me." And then after that, I said to her, "Well, then what are we going to do?" And then she handed me Rich Dad Poor Dad. She said, "Let's look into real estate." And, that's kind of what sent me on my way down this path of real estate and then construction. And then now back to real estate. So we definitely have those common threads. So I like to start at everybody's genesis, so to speak. What were you like as a kid, and were there early signs of your path today?
Yeah, it's funny that you should ask that. I think as a younger gentleman, I was very focused, very motivated. I was in student government. I was in club soccer. Played high school soccer. Played multiple sports outside of that as well. Was in church often with my family, and then youth group, etc. So I think I tell people often that my parents guided me. Again, they were like, "You like science. You're very well spoken. You want to make a lot of money, so obviously the position role makes the most sense." Um, and then looking back, I remember having the interest in real estate when I was younger. I would always be looking up the valuation of homes or wondering about these big new projects that were coming about, but without my parents didn't know a lot about that, and I only knew a residential realtor, and so I was like, I don't know if that necessarily is what I'm interested in, but the early signs were there. It just, again, without the knowledge that I have now, there's no way that I would have had a direct path where I am now.
No, for sure. Absolutely. Were you a kid that excelled in school? What were you like as a student?
Yeah, I was an AP kid and honors, all that kind of stuff. I think the transition from high school, where I didn't have to study a ton, to college, where all of a sudden I was around a lot of people that were very intelligent, which I had in high school as well, but around, from all over the country that were concentrated in this pre-med program. And I remember my first biology grade and being like, this is not going to be okay. I have to actually sit down now and learn a little bit better, learn how to study, learn how to read, learn how to take notes. So I had to make adjustments there for sure.
All right, good, good, good. So what was your family structure like? Did you grow up with, both of your parents in the home? What was that like for you?
Yeah, so I was adopted at 6 months, and so my parents raised me in Arizona. I was born in Chicago, actually, and we moved before I was 2, and then grew up mostly in Arizona, both mom and dad in the home. My dad worked a ton when I was younger, and then as I got older, he was able to taper off a little bit. And then my mom actually worked, so she stopped working from 0 to 6 until I went to kindergarten, basically, and then I have a little sister. So my mom was, worked her way back up the corporate ladder, and then did the same to kind of raise my sister until kindergarten, which was awesome for her to
Yep,
do.
yep, yep. Yeah, that's what my wife is all about. So,
Yeah.
so I get it. It definitely
Yeah.
makes a big,
Oh,
big
definitely.
impact, big difference.
Definitely.
Yeah, I love that.
Mhm.
She could kind of commit that time to the family for sure. So, I know it had a big impact on you. Who would you
Oh, yeah.
say was your biggest influence growing up?
Looking back, probably my mom. Yeah, she's definitely. I mean, I think the sacrifice. If you think about the fact that, especially with women now, like we're equal of sorts. So women that build up their career and then decide to sacrifice that for their children is absolutely huge in my mind.
Hmm.
So I would say my mom first and foremost. I had a fifth grade teacher, John Prothero, that also was he took me under his wing. That was super helpful. Gave me some really good just kind of guidance, and then I had some other soccer coaches as well that just really poured into me and pulled out the leadership side of things. And so they to actually name what those things are, if you're kind of directing people what to do or guiding people similarly, I had a lot of people pouring into me and calling that out, which I appreciate.
No, definitely. You would say, and then what was your relationship like with your dad?
He's awesome, my dad. I mean, to this day, he's very good. I think when I was younger, loving to see him when he would come home from work and such. And then I think now I tell him to look back and think about what a strong father figure you were. Some of that stuff can be taken for granted because you're just on the go and you're like, oh, my parents should just be there for me. But to think back about how while he's not a very talkative individual, he would speak words of life so well. Telling me, if you want to be the president of the United States, you can definitely do that. Telling me that whatever you want to do in life, you will be able to do that. So, thinking back about that now, no, I did not. I don't desire to be president of the United States, but I did desire to be president of student government and was able to do so, several times. So those are things that I think without that, in your ear, if you don't have that, you know, that that powerful wisdom and just words of affirmation, I can't imagine growing up without that. And I love to be able to share that with my boy as well.
No, for sure. And it's going to be really important. I mean, for me, it took me a while to become a dad, and I think about my relationship with my dad. He was always present, always there if you needed something, if you needed a ride or something like that. And he literally bent his, self over backward to make sure that, you got to where you needed to. And he also did that for everyone else.
Yeah.
Right. And, similar to your dad, very few words, very few words. And, my dad has since passed, but there's a lot of him in me that he's kind of just left back. And I know you'll take those attributes, and pass it down to your son,
Yes.
So yeah, for sure. So walk me through, you said you got into med school, right? And that's what you said, right? You got into med school?
No, I was pre-med. I took the
pre-med.
MCAT actually.
Okay.
And then I decided medical school was not the direction. That's kind of based upon like that same guidance, working with physicians, getting to, brief internships, kind of the guidance from one in particular that I remember where he was like, I don't think that I would do this again. Yeah, I have a lot of money in my bank account and yeah, I get to be this top surgeon, but the sacrifice that you make of raising a family and being able to be at events and enjoy your life is not something that I would suggest that you do. And I was like, wow, this person again that you look up to, like again, you're making well into the six figures. Why would you not want that life, and so I think at that time that kind of shook me a little bit. You're preparing all this time, effort, energy that goes into preparing to go to medical school. And then that kind of, I had to regroup. I was still always very business minded. When I moved to San Diego, because I was pre-med undergrad, I did not have a lot of time to work, but I was working as an MC at trade shows and doing some promotional modeling. So I had some sort of business acumen, so I could essentially started my own agency at that time before real estate was involved. Started doing, staffing a lot of the MCs, promotion models at trade shows. And then the real estate side of things came, shortly thereafter, where I got involved in a group and we started doing some luxury remodels in northern San Diego.
So walk me through what your first deal looked like. What did that look like for you, huh?
Yeah. Oh my.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The first one's always the most
first one
fun.
was interesting. Yeah. So I think and it's so funny to think back, but like again, I'm a big mentorship person, like all about it. So to this day, like I want to give mentorship. I want to get mentorship. And I think I'll be like that for the rest of my life.
I agree.
So the gentleman that actually I was working with that was mentoring me on these projects, he kind of brought me in, was teaching me like how you can use credit in order to, get down payments and this, that, and the other. So I learned that side of things. I was more of a runner and an analyst in the beginning. So, cause I was like, I don't know how to do any of this construction stuff, but I know I want to go into real estate of some sort. So there's a couple projects that we got just completely remodeled, Carlsbad and Fallbrook in California. Some of those, I mean, I'd say one of them did really well. One of them was tighter, for sure. And fortunately, my skin in the game was all of that, sweat equity going in there. I put a little money in, but not anything too crazy. And then, again, we should not go too far on a tangent, but I think at some point, again, I was probably 22, 23 at this time. And I think there are some guys within the group of guys that were like, oh, why are you working with this guy? He's kind of a crook. And I was like, what? I'm just here to learn and do my best. And so I think to hear that about somebody that you're looking up to, I had to kind of, again, look at things and be like, well, maybe I'm going to learn things incorrectly. I don't want to do that. So parted ways, nothing, it was very amicable. I just was like, I don't want to be associated with somebody that is considered a crook. I want to be able to, be honest and have integrity in everything that I do. So, learn from there.
Okay. All right. No, that's a very important thing that you brought up. And which is several things that you brought up, right? Which is having the proper mentorship, right? And allowing that mentorship to, help you grow. And, obviously you had some good people around you that told you, hey, listen, you need to kind of open up your eyes a little bit wider, right,
Yeah.
to understand exactly what's going on around you. And I think that was very important to have good people around
Yeah.
you. So what happened after that? So after you got some experience there, as a runner and as an analyst, and where did you go from there?
Yeah. So from there, I still had the marketing staffing agency, who was doing the real estate, stepped out. And I believe shortly thereafter, my a former roommate and I purchased a house on Mission Beach.
Hmm.
He brought the capital for that house, Mission Beach, San Diego, and we had a 3-bedroom. So he had his room, I had mine, and then we were like, what are we going to do with this? Um, guest bedroom essentially. Airbnb was popular at that time, so that's kind of where I was like, okay, let's try it out. Let's threw some 2 bunk beds into that room, and I think I made like 25 grand in 6 months just
Oh
from
wow.
one
Hmm.
room. Um, and got to meet people from all over the world. Got
Yep.
to kind of interact with people like that I still have on social media to this day.
Hmm.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to be the kingpin of Mission Beach. Like I'm going to have all the neighbors having me work on this, and then ended up meeting some people up in North County, again, San Diego. That's kind of where there's more money up there, essentially.
Hmm.
Bigger houses, bigger property. And I got to, one lady was like, okay, I like what you're talking about. Maybe you can come over and pitch, my project. We leave for the whole summer and see what we can do with that. And so I went over to her house, and she had other people there already lined up, for me. So she's like,
Hmm.
oh, he's gonna pitch. So this is my first time probably doing like a real pitch.
You said
And
other people, like who? Other
oh, she had lined up
homeowners?
other
Oh,
homeowners. I think I'm 25, 24, turning 25 at this time. So
okay.
I'm going from our house is nice for sure in Mission Beach, but
Mm-hmm.
going from a small beach house to these multi-million dollar homes to pitch and manage.
Yeah.
So I put together a quick slide deck and, was talking, answering questions. I, stumbled, I'm sure, a ton, but I got some clients from that. So ended up with 37 projects or properties altogether in San Diego, some small, downtown properties, some of those really large ones. Got to host some NBA players, NFL, NHL, so
Yeah.
that was really, really cool, really fun. I think a learning, and that was I would say, like, obviously did some stuff before, but that was my real first touch into real estate because I was now in control. I was responsible for,
Yeah. There's a
learning
lot,
how
a
to,
lot, a lot of moving
yeah.
parts at that point.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
37
Payroll, like
property, 37
cleaning.
cleaning
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
37 transactions per week, per
Yeah.
So yeah, there's
Yeah.
there's a lot. How did you manage it all? Did you have software that helped you kind of streamline the ins and outs and the calling the people and the rotations and stuff like that? How did you manage it all?
Poorly, I would say. Spreadsheets. I did not, now there's tons of software, tons of, stuff out there for you. But
Hmm.
just old school spreadsheet guy, just kind of getting all the information, the data. And then, getting the opportunity to really communicate with our people and say, hey, this is happening, etc. But it was not perfect by any means.
Yeah,
Hi,
yeah.
baby.
This is what it looks like as a dad. So
Oh
don't.
yeah.
It's all good. We're
I
pro
love it.
family over here, so
Yeah.
it's all good. So all right, so you got that going, right? And you're trying to tread water, so to speak, right? You're
Yes.
figuring it out, kind of as you go. And then what? Because I think you said you
Yep.
ended up. How long did you manage that?
So I had that for probably two and a half, three. Hold on, probably 2.5 years
2.5
before
years.
discussion of sale and stuff like that was going on. So from there, I was always like, I need to go to grad school of some sort. In my brain, I was like, there's a need. So if I'm not going to medical school, the natural next step is law school. So ended up taking the LSAT and got into to school. I went to school in San Diego as well, and did my first year, or was in the first year, and I did pretty decently in law school. But I was like, this is now I'm managing the vacation rental company.
Yep.
I still have the marketing agency, which I had my VP basically running.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was, trying to excel in law school, and that takes a lot of concentration.
For sure.
So
you had a lot on
I
your
think
plate.
oh yeah, and then started discussing kind of sale. One couple that brought me kind of a lot of properties to put on Airbnb saw, okay, you're being successful now, and is there a way that we can buy the entire portfolio?
Oh wow.
And then I got another out of nowhere. Hey, we're looking to buy, acquire a bunch of these projects or properties. Would you be interested in that? And so the difference between what is going on now, you see a lot of rental arbitrage and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of, I did not own all those properties. So I also had to have a lot of communication with my clients to
yeah.
make sure that they're okay with this. So, ended up selling that company. And then they had asked me for a 2-year non-compete, and I said, we can do 1,
Mm-hmm.
just in case I want to go back into it at some point.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
But no, I think I was very happy. I had systematized it by that time to a lot better, and I still help them kind of with the process.
No, so I would say the experience you got there, even though you didn't, own the units, is getting all of the wheels turning for what could be for growth, or what could be necessary for the future. So I think the experience that you gained was absolutely invaluable. So did you have a plan when you decided to sell that Airbnb business to someone? Did you have a plan as to what your next move would be?
Well, I was in law school, so I think I was like, well, naturally I'll be a real estate attorney, just because I'm now just understanding that diving into real estate is kind of where I'm called to. So what I was doing especially in the beginning of law school, I went to breakfast, lunch, dinner, happy hour with probably like 50 plus attorneys, trying to kind of see where do I fit within this box, because law is a little bit different. Your personal injury, or your real estate, or your this, that, and the other.
Mm-hmm.
So in meeting again with some real estate attorneys, they were like, I mean, you should go do what those guys are doing. Like
with the personal injury.
No, not the personal injury.
Oh,
the
like, investing.
real estate developers, and
okay.
Because they're the ones paying us, $750, $1,000 per billable hour.
Yeah.
Hi, baby. We're gonna 1 second.
Go ahead.
Let me get you set up.
All good.
And then I'll get back on there.
Yep.
There you go. You just want to do toy. Meeting with a lot of them. They were saying, "Oh, you want to be up here? Let me get them real quick."
Okay, you can pick them up.
Hi.
Yeah.
There we go, buddy. So we were meeting a lot, and they were kind of pointing me to the developer side of ththings. I had never heard, again, we talked about my childhood. I never knew what a real estate developer was. I didn't know what, I didn't even think about the construction side of, I'm just thinking some really wealthy people own this stuff, and that's the extent of it, you know.
Yeah.
So I start kind of looking into that a little more. So my school had a real estate program, a really good program as well. Started to understand a little more about that. I met with them, and they were like, I told them about my Airbnb business, and they're like, we don't necessarily do residential at all. It would be a commercial move.
Yeah.
And so I was like, commercial, I don't know anything about that.
You
I
don't
don't
know
think that's
anything
what I
about
want.
it. Yeah, exactly.
That's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
And so then getting the chance to network a little bit more between, people that were already in it. My interest began when I heard them talking in the millions, whereas, I'm talking in the hundreds of thousands before, or early millions. And they're talking about, oh, this project is going to need, 25 million to fund, or we need to do this and that and the other. And I'm like, wait, what? And where does the money come from? So getting curiosity there. My dad at that point was like, do you want to go back to school, or you want to just dive in and learn from somebody? And I was questioning myself on that. There's a gentleman, Dustin, in San Diego, and he was saying that he was like, you should probably just do the master's program, because one, it helps you to dive in, and then if your goal is to work with Black and brown people and help them understand the impact of commercial real estate in the future, the master's behind you will really help
give you a baseline.
Yeah. So and I agree now, that I have it. I'm kind of understanding the deep dive. Like my brain shifted so much in just 2 years of that program, both getting to see really cool projects from mentors and guys, developers in San Diego, and then also getting to participate in some of these as well. So that, my brain will never go back to the same. The 9 to 5 opportunity where you can do okay in life, versus you're working on these massive projects and just getting to build people and build structures, which is what.
No, for sure. So it looks like you have a very consistent playbook where you seek some sort of mentorship, or I would call it advanced wisdom, right?
Yes.
In the direction that you plan to head, to kind of give you the lay of the land. How important would you say mentorship has been for you?
It's a 10 out of 10 every time. I think whether it be spiritual, or in marriage, and raising children, and building, I think your statement there, building dreams one project at a time. You're getting to build somebody else's dream. For me as a mentor, and also when I'm seeking mentorship, that's a lot of the time what these guys are willing to do, is give up some of their time, effort, energy to help build my dreams, and help leverage kind of what they've learned to pass that on to me, and then I can pass it on to others as well.
Yeah, there's a value there of, I feel like for me, mentorship, what mentorship has been for me is I am actively extracting the experience of these, of these mentors, and almost like, making it mine,
Oh yeah.
So, and also in that, avoiding a lot of problems.
Definitely.
Right. So
Yeah,
I like
for sure.
to, a few of my mentors, I like to kind of hone in on the problems. I know what the problems are, but I like to get it from them, get the real skinny from them on where should I avoid? How should I be looking at this? So I'm looking at my vision that I'm building very, clearly, and also, only a fool makes his own. What's the saying? A wise man, I forget what the saying is, but essentially, uh, a wise man doesn't have to make the mistakes. He could kind of just take the wisdom of others, right? So,
Right. Absolutely.
yeah. So, all right. So you started down this path of taking the commercial real estate classes. Wasn't initially in your peer view, but now you're here, right? Now you
Yep.
are taking the courses, and kind of walk me through what that experience was like for you.
Oh yeah, so I started during COVID, so that was interesting because we were mostly online. Sometimes we were able to meet outside or meet on projects because we're having to tangibly learn. There's still stuff going on.
Yeah.
And then getting the real estate mentor out of that as well. I had a couple of them, but one in particular, I remember I had asked for somebody that started their own business from the ground up, somebody that's really tech savvy, somebody young but a family man. So not like I don't want somebody super young, but and then somebody just killing it, somebody after it. And I got to meet Adam Robinson. He's RAF Pacifica group in Encinitas, California. And it took me a little bit to chase him down, for sure. Cause I think they gave me his email. I emailed them, no response, email again, no response. And then I remember he hit me up out of nowhere and was like, hey, can you come to this project that I'm working on? And I was like, yeah, I'll be there. So this is the relationship side of things. I tell people, I was like, so I was there with other people. I didn't know there's going to be other people there as well. I was kind of disheartened at that time. I was like, I'm going to finally get this guy's attention.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it ended up being, at the end, I just was like, thank you so much for inviting me, man. Like, I appreciate you. I'm going to go play pickleball now. And he was like, wait, what did you say? Pickleball. And that's where his, he lit up. And so, that kind of changed that little touch and changed things drastically. Now I get invited to his house. Now we get to play pickleball outside and we can talk about real estate. And I would tell people in the beginning when he was talking to me about, multiples and IRR and all this kind of stuff, I was like, I have no idea what you're saying.
You're lost. Yeah, exactly.
You're basically speaking Spanish to me. Well, I speak Spanish, but you're speaking German to me. But I'm like, but I appreciate, being able to talk about those things with somebody that is already ahead of me. And you just inviting me to your house, and we're having pool days and sauna days and, eating with your family. So that was one of the best parts of the program, but also learning the analysis, like I mentioned before with spreadsheets, that was for organizational purposes, but then it's super important, obviously, to know how to analyze these projects, make sure that they are feasible. And so that was a good part of it, learning sustainability, learning how to develop in general. That's kind of where I was like, oh, I know I'm called to be a developer specifically from that program. And yeah, that takes quite a bit more energy effort than a lot of people are willing to give, but
for sure,
I'm like, I think of all the experiences that I've had that we've kind of outlined so far. I'm like, I think I'm well suited because of the different things that kind of came along the way. So really cool program. Highly suggest, or you get a coach kind of like you, Sam. And
for sure. Especially if you ever want if you even ever want to even fathom anything in commercial, is such a different game than building 1 to 4 units in residential. So there's no way that you could crack it without having the right mentorship. It's like not,
you have to have it
because you're speaking a different language. You're and the information is so wide ranging. The tools that you need, the experience to leverage and kind of lean on is great. So I one of the things you pointed out, which I figured out through time, is it's a mistake to jump right into business. You didn't knowingly bring up pickleball because that's just what you were going to do, but then it created an opportunity to kind of really create and nurture a relationship, right? And that's one of the things that I've picked up on through the years, is finding some sort of commonality outside of business and working and nurturing that, right? And my focus is definitely 100% on the people, right? And kind of hearing someone's story, trying to get to know and understand their perspective, where they're coming from, and find something that relates, which is pickleball. right?
Yep.
And then that kind of created the opportunity. So what is typically your game plan when you are trying to nurture these relationships? Because you've clearly have done it, quite a few times and so well.
Yeah, I think it's changed for sure. I think, now you have CRMs, the customer relationship management systems. You have just, before I would say I'm just shooting texts to people, calling people out of the blue, like just really, that's both with investors, that's with friends, calling my wife out of the blue, calling my family, etc.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the the missing piece, the missing component. They did not teach us that in the master's program, but
Mhm.
that's like the biggest thing that I would say. The takeaway is always just keep your relationships really strong. Look for ways you can or that you can quickly identify that you can connect with people. Like I said with Adam, the pickleball approach was not ever planned. It just happened to be, but that taught me a really valuable lesson is like, listening to what people are talking about and then maybe being like, oh, finding commonality really is what people want. Because what I found in real estate development and this in construction, especially when you're taking other people's money to invest,
Mhm.
they're a lot of times investing in you. They're not
Correct.
necessarily like the project itself. Yeah, they want returns,
Yeah.
but they're finding ways that they can support your dreams, and their own, of course. But
Yep.
they're not just throwing money out for anybody. It could
Yep.
be
Correct.
a person that doesn't know how to connect, and then
Correct.
and they're not going to give you money even if it's a very valuable opportunity. So
No,
that's
it's
kind of
it's
what I learned.
definitely anything in real estate developing is community building, right? So if
Yeah.
you kind of take that approach and have that understanding that you're not there just to put a building up, you're there to create relationships and create community around this particular transaction, right?
Yeah.
And as long as you have that understanding, you'll go far, right? If
Absolutely.
it's just a transaction and it's just about numbers or just about money, you're probably not going to go that far. I'm just kind of
Definitely.
just putting that out there, so all right, so you get through this program, all right, you finally graduated, and I think you were telling me, when we're offline, about this position that you took that kind of gave you an opening.
Oh yeah. So right after the program, my wife and I, she finished med school at the same time. So we got married in January. Then we both moved from San Diego to Oklahoma City. That's where she's going to complete her residency, and I got a role with managing a $500 million project. So to take what I learned, quickly apply a lot of the development side of things. Some of that was already pre-developed before I got there, but I got to be a part of the projects going forward. Some of that was pretty simple stuff, as simple as making sure the construction team cleaned up the nails that they were strewing along our roads.
Yeah,
And then some of
yeah,
that
problem.
began,
Yeah.
yeah, looking into working with the broker to kind of identify, you're piecing the puzzle together on development. So got to really dive in, understand kind of how these things work, kind of the meetings, the stakeholder meetings that you are in. Got to meet with the architect, utility guys, just like every facet of development. I was definitely a part of very quickly, which was really fun, and for such a high value project. Yeah, it was an epic beginning, I'd say, of the story.
No, for sure. How invaluable would it say to kind of sit into like shareholder meetings, or meetings with the architect, or or the contractor that's going to be running a project?
Yeah, no, I think that was, I mean, it's super valuable to be able to be like, okay, well, while I'm in it now, but we talk about this obviously the whole time during the master's program, and then obviously with mentors and internships that I did, I'm part of the team, but like I'm now the lead guy. So
Mhm.
it was really cool to be a part of that, get to know what people are looking for, and has really lended to, where I am now, which is awesome. I love it. Love
No,
it. Yeah.
amazing. So what would be some um what would be your best words of advice for anyone that's looking to jump into commercial or new development?
Uh, get mentorship
Mhm.
first and foremost, because if you're jumping into it your first time, you're not even gonna. I just met with a gentleman that is he's under construction company for a long time. He's a GC.
Yep.
He's just now getting into some commercial opportunities, going from like a 500 to $3 million, um, you know, typical revenue on projects to
Mhm.
now getting opportunities for 120 plexes, 200 plex, industrial projects, etc.
Mhm.
So he reached out to me to kind of say, I mean, I love the opportunity, but how should I set these up? And
Mhm.
so the first discussion we talk about is, well, it might look different than what you're typically used to, where you're just getting a paycheck handed to you, in installments, and making sure that the project goes well. You need to be asking for equity in these
Mhm.
projects. You need to
Correct.
be, setting up, negotiate a variety of things in there. So without, he's like, oh, I've always wanted to develop or participate in these things, but do you think they're going to let me? Well, if you have
No,
the
you
bargaining
add the
chips,
value.
yeah, yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
you have the bargaining chips at that point, because the developer really wants to
Mhm.
work with a strong construction team, a strong
Yeah.
GC.
Mhm.
So that'd be one of them, and then also always keep your capital contacts. That was the biggest learning lesson for me. Is I went to undergrad, at a private school. I met a lot of
Mhm.
people, and
Yep.
then never with the intent of calling on them to be a part of my projects, because I was pre-med at that time. So
Mhm.
why would I need that? The
Correct.
same thing with the master's program. They didn't teach us about raising capital at all.
Mhm.
They didn't teach us. They taught us a little bit about fund structures and what they were, but they
Yep.
didn't teach us the actual art of it. And
Mhm.
so once you learn that side of things, like once you learn how to structure deals and how to raise capital, you can really do whatever, because you can invest in businesses, you can invest in real estate, you can do whatever you need to do. So
Yeah.
both
So you
those.
mentioned you mentioned the art of raising capital. What would you say is
Yes.
the art of raising capital?
Relationships.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, like, I mean,
Goes
you're
hand in
gonna
hand. It's a big circle.
yeah, like it's always going to be the relationship component, because you're going to be, I mean, you can have a really strong CRM, um, that's sending out emails and sending out, what the deal is. But if I'm, calling Sam up and saying, Sam, man, like, this is a great project, check it out. I know you got it in your email, but I know you didn't check it out yet, man. Like,
Mhm.
come on now, we know each other.
Yeah.
That's gonna work a little differently than me just sending you an email and being like, let me know.
Yep.
That's not the same.
Mhm.
So yeah, strong relationships, always building relationships. I have guys that are 10 years ahead of me that I talk to about, like, oh, does this become easier in time? Like, you just get capital coming to you, and they're like, I don't know if it comes easier. They're just like, we just know who to call. That
Mhm.
that that relationship and that rapport has been built over time.
Yeah.
Whereas you're, at the stage I am in currently, you're building up, your relationships with people and
No,
your
for
trust.
sure. Yeah. Yeah, that relationship aspect, and also knowing and understanding that they are investing in you, they're investing in your vision, and then also too, successfully completing a project and bringing friends, all right, getting an
Oh yeah,
ROI.
yeah,
Anytime you bring friends to the party,
yeah,
it ends up working out very, very,
for sure.
very well for you. So,
Yeah.
what would you say are characteristics of a great real estate developer?
Um, Vision for sure. I think just being able to kind of piece things together. So that's one thing. Or organization, for sure. Kind of again, kind of figuring out, what does this look like. I can take a vision, but now we're going to piece the puzzle together. So let's look at some organization, um, building relationships, because you need the capital piece and you need stakeholders to kind of move that forward. I do know some developers that self fund all of their stuff, and that's not how I work. I work with other people's money. So always building relationships, and then finding a really strong general contractor is super crucial, and building that relationship, making sure that stays solid, because you want you want to be able to do this numerous times, hopefully.
Right.
So being able to find general contractors that kind of understand what you're working with. I think, the one that I referenced before, if actually, if a general contractor talked to me about equity, I would be stoked, because then my numbers come down a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. He'll
So
make
I
it
was
on the
like,
back
in
end. Yeah.
100%. And most general contractors are not going to even really know about that as much. So that's a key component, because obviously you're overseeing the project, and you're going to make sure that things run well, but that general contractor is also so crucial to be able to get things done well.
Yeah, I would say in a lot of ways that's kind of how I cut my teeth in the business. Was I didn't have a lot of money. How do I add the maximum amount of value to a real estate investor, right? And the way that I did that was setting up a system that allows me to handle everything from A to Z, right? And then I just need a capital partner, right?
Definitely.
So, as a flipper, at first it was just kind of just putting kitchen designs together, ordering material and stuff like that. Then it's, as design build, it's architect having design plan, handling all of the construction, etc. So really adding value to whatever project that we want to get off the ground. So I mean, we talked a little bit offline about some challenges in construction. So just tell me a little bit about some of your construction stories, and just tell me a little bit about some of your construction stories.
So I think, since we talked about the role that I was in, I left that role in Oklahoma City, and then I both started a commercial business, and then I started a residential kind of design build business as well. So I think some of the biggest learning lessons have become on the residential side, just kind of understanding that your clients are make or break you, for sure. So you're making sure to, you can be as organized and kind of expressive as you want to be, but clients will still find something, So I think I shared with you, we had one client last year that, we make them sign off on the, full design of the home when we're doing a remodel. And so, we had a client that was like, oh, we actually want the shower, on this side, the shower head on this side rather than on this side. And we're like, well, you signed off on this, so that's fine, we can do it. But it's just going to be costly, because we're going to have to be charged our labor.
Correct.
And they're like, well, why would we have to pay for that? We don't want it. We just want it over there. So I think I would say that happens often.
It does.
Even if you're explaining it, again, you have to explain and explain. So that, and then another gentleman that just a really, really big project that we're trying to go through. What roof tiles do you want? Well, can you just order them all, and we'll decide when they're here? Well, that's very wasteful. Why would we want to do that? We can order samples for you, but why would you want to order all of them? So kind of explaining to clients along the way, the balance of, we have to order things early because there's delays, especially right now. But also, we're probably not going to be the ones that will just order. And then he's like, "What? Well, can't you just send them back?" No, that's not how it works. You can't just send time.
I wish it did, but it does not.
No, not quite.
No. So, one of the things we haven't touched on yet, but I know it's important to you, it's important to me, is our relationship with Jesus. And how do you take that on into the way you communicate with people, the way that you kind of just do life and business?
Yeah. So I think, one thing that is unique about what I do is we typically will pray with clients like ahead of working with them. And I think a lot of clients have been like, whoa, that's so, unique. And that's not something I've ever had before. So
Hmm.
just like, why wouldn't we, even if they're not Christ
Correct.
followers, they're
Correct.
typically open to it because they're like, well, I mean, we
Yeah.
believe something's up there. We believe
Yeah.
something's up there. So why not?
Yeah.
Why
Why
not?
not? And they get
Get
to
some
hear
extra
they get to
blessing.
hear your true
Yeah,
heart. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Why not? Yeah, it
So
only works in your favor. Mhm.
yeah, that's a one way that I integrate into that. And then any general contractor, anybody that I'm or subcontractor that we work with, they're very familiar with our walk with Christ. So it's not a a hidden thing at all, and we're not really preachy. It's just more of like, hey,
Mhm.
what are you guys doing this weekend? We'd love to have you. Or I work with a subcontractor too that I love his value. Every time they meet for any meetings, they have Bible study in the morning. So
Mhm.
we don't go as far as that, but we're definitely
Yeah.
we're there. We've showed up there. We've
No,
supported
for sure.
them
No, for
as
sure.
well. So yeah, mostly the praying aspect, and it's in the documents we send out. Like we do find this value super important to us. So we're trying to be honest and have integrity in everything that we do. So yeah, we try to share as much as we can. Share the
No,
gospel.
for sure. I mean, that's one of the things that I think has been a game changer for me. At early on in my career in different businesses and stuff like that, it's almost like you would wear it sometimes and then not wear it sometimes and then wear it sometimes and not wear it. But the biggest shift has happened for me where I just wear it. I just wear
Absolutely. Yeah,
my relationship with Christ and all that I do, and it has been a big difference, big transformation.
definitely.
And how I speak to people, how I receive people, how I communicate to just everybody around me. So thank you for kind of sharing that part
Yeah.
as well. So um what would you say is your secret sauce uh currently right now in your business? Like, what would you say?
Um, besides, we'll always throw Jesus in as the secret sauce because
For sure.
that's where I think a lot of success comes from. But and tithing for sure. But
Hmm.
I think just I'm almost always going to outwork somebody in the room. So we're always working harder, and that might look like more innovation, more more communication, more just kind of showing people the customer service and the how valued they are as an individual.
Hmm.
So I think as far as both in the development space, because I'm working with investors a lot, and then
Yeah.
as the construction, the design build stuff, they notice pretty quickly because we're just a little different. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah. and,
it's
and there's a lot of people that don't work like that. So
yeah, not at all. Yeah, they're just kind of like, okay, great, we want the job, sign a contract, and move on. So
yeah.
that's not how we work. We're like, we want repeat business, as you mentioned before. Is like, even if we're just doing a kitchen, a bathroom, we know that those people will think of us when they're going to do the full remodel or the backyard, or they're going to buy a new house, or they're going to talk to their neighbors about remodels. So on that side, definitely. And then investor wise, 100%. Like investors are um, it's all about the relationship again. So wanting to make sure that they know about every process along the way. If they have any questions, feel free to ask. Those are going to be answered as honestly and quickly as possible. And so, yeah, just kind of communicating those.
um,
Communication is key.
yeah. No, for sure. Communication is absolutely everything. So one of the it's probably the final question that we always end with is, what would you say is your best lessons learned from life and in business?
Ooh, great questions. Life lesson. Um, I think life lesson wise, the relationships that I built, I harp on relationships till the day I die. I think
Yeah.
they're super crucial, and They're your business's lifeblood, and my lifeblood. I love to just impact and impart what I've learned to other people. And then number two, business wise, I would say again the ability to give more than what other people are expecting. So do it in your own way. Do it in the way that people come to expect greatness of you, and not just the the run of the mill what everybody else is doing. So hello,
Yeah.
are you trying to talk?
One of the principles
Yeah.
that you shared is in the book, the law of success, which
yeah.
is giving more than you paid for. So yeah, that's a great principle for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. Is there any particular books that you would are you reading or recommend for anybody?
I mean, The Millionaire Real Estate Investor, that's a good one. That's I don't remember that guy's last name is Killer. And then I actually read this a long time ago, but The Cell by Frederick Eklund.
Oh, I
Really
love
good.
that book. I
Yeah,
love that
super
book.
good.
Yeah, super
and,
good. Very. This is
Love
very
it.
practical for the relationship aspect and understanding that everything is a sale. All right, that's the key takeaway from that particular book. Yeah, I really love that one.
Yes, and then there's Think Like a Warrior. That's another one that I read. It's a good one. Guys, the author is Darren Donnelly. I just read that recently.
Mm-hmm.
So those are good ones.
All right, good. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for blessing us with your time, and thank you guys for checking out the Pro Design Builder. It's not just about building a business; it's about building a vision and a life by design.
Love it.